Mrs. Miller is a little under the weather, so she said, you got this. And I went, okay. But she did write a devotion for us this evening, and the verse she chose was Colossians 1:16. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him. Kelly said to us she loves this verse, and hopefully we find it as encouraging as she does, because knowing that our Father in heaven cares for us and nourishes our bodies and our spirits is wonderful. And this devotional is from Sarah Young. And it says, this is God speaking to us. Your life is a precious gift from me. Open your hands and your heart to receive this day gratefully. Relate to me as your Savior and your friend, but remember, I am also your Creator. As you go through this day that I've gifted to you, look for signs of my abiding presence. Your physical life is an amazing gift, so let us treat it with the best care, right? But your spiritual life is a treasure of infinite value. If you belong to me, you will live with me forever, enjoying a glorified body that will never get sick or tired. Won't that be wonderful? And we'll have all the beautiful plants and foods, fruit trees, and all that he has in heaven for us. Since I have saved you by grace through faith, let thankfulness for this indescribable gift fill you with overflowing joy. And as an addition, I would say that thankfulness is a very healthy emotion. So it makes us and our spirit much healthier. So tonight we're talking diabetes. Ooh, what a topic that is. Truth, lies, and care, a little diabetes TLC. So what is it? It is a condition caused by insulin resistance. Insulin is a hormone that we have in our bodies, in which the cells are not working properly. The role of insulin is to get glucose into your cell. And your cell is where your mitochondria are, and the glucose is the food for the mitochondria so that you have energy. So if you're lacking energy, you might have some insulin problems. Not the only reason, but it could be part of the issue. When insulin does not work properly, sugar cannot get into the cell and it remains in the bloodstream, hence high blood sugar. If a landlord has changed the locks on the door and the tenant can no longer get into the property because the key no longer fits the door. And according to Dr. Eno Nsima Obat, type 2 diabetes is a disease of lifestyle. And that's great news, because then it's your choice. You can choose to not have it and work at it, or you can choose to just kind of let things go, and then you have it. Higher blood sugar equals thicker blood. Have you ever seen like sugar and dissolving it in a cup of water, and it looks kind of thick and syrupy, right? That is exactly what it does to your blood. It makes your blood thick and syrupy. So therefore, it's more difficult for your heart to pump it out. It is more difficult for your kidneys to filter it. And it's more difficult passing through your liver and getting the toxins out of your liver, because there's so much toxin in there and your liver doesn't know what to do with it. So thick, sludgy blood is a really bad idea. Okay. Oh, decreased oxygen too, which is also a really bad thing. No oxygen, no life, right? Okay. Currently, 244 million people worldwide have some form of diabetes. At least 30 million of those are in the United States, and 95% of those cases are type 2 diabetes, which is the lifestyle choice. So tonight isn't actually going to be a very nice evening. It's going to be, there are going to be a few ouches, and I actually got a few ouches whenever I was doing this presentation this week. I'm like, So I'll share those with you, full disclosure, so no worries. It hurts a little bit, I will. But remember in week 1, when we talked about that big word, epigenetics. Does anyone remember what that word meant? Anyone who was here in week 1? Yeah?
That majority, I think, I forget the percentage, I had it written down, 75% of your, the way your genetic code is expressed is due to the lifestyle choices in your environment.
Perfect. You are the best student. I know, Miss Type A, it's, us teachers love having you people around. So that's great, that's perfect. 75% of your genetic expression is due to your lifestyle choices. That's what it is. So choose a better lifestyle, have a better quality of life. So even though there certainly is a genetic factor for type 2 diabetes, it can absolutely be overcome by lifestyle choices. Okay, so tonight is called Diabetes Truth, Lies, and Care. The truth and lies we're going to kind of talk about simultaneously. So we have some common misconceptions about diabetes. And number 1, being overweight causes type 2 diabetes, or you can only have type 2 diabetes if you're overweight. That is not true. Someone can look very slim and fit and have really high blood sugar. And that is what's scary, because maybe you don't know that you have that high blood sugar. So it's a good thing to get tested. And if you have risk factors like a BMI over 30, body mass index, if you're over 45, if you lack regular physical activity, if you have high blood pressure or high cholesterol, and this is a conservative estimate, 60% of people who are on statins, it's kind of more like 80, but I tend to try and lowball things whenever we're talking allopathic medicine. 60% of those people on statins are going to develop type 2 diabetes. And that is a scary statistic, but it's also one that keeps you coming back. So back in May, I went and, like, after having the paperwork for about a year, I finally went and got some blood work done, and my blood sugar was 95. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. And I was talking to my doctor about it. He's like, that's a great number. And I'm like, no, it should be in the 80s. I would like my blood sugar at like 80. And he's like, oh, no. I'm like, oh, you don't know anything. So I tell him that all the time, but I love him and he knows that. And so I made some adjustments and got my blood sugar back under control. But if I listen to just my doctor's like, oh, you're fine. But that's edging towards prediabetes. So we'll talk about what blood sugar numbers should be a little later in the evening, optimally, and that's an important marker for us. Okay, number 2, diabetes isn't that serious, right? Whenever you first get diagnosed, oh well, so what, I have diabetes. But the problem is that type 2 diabetes currently causes more deaths than breast cancer. And what we have, like, October is the pink month, right? And everybody's getting on board with that. But diabetes is actually more deadly than breast cancer, which is kind of a sobering thought. And you can have this years before you know, and the damage is being done, and it's already there. So it's much more difficult to reverse if you don't have it kind of in your mind that this is a possibility. Please get tested if you're making frequent nighttime bathroom trips, if you have overwhelming fatigue and you can't figure out why, if you're extremely thirsty for no reason, or if you seem to have a really compromised immune system, if you get sick frequently, please just get the blood test. Get fasting insulin is the best blood test. Blood sugar is, yeah, everybody does, like that can change because you had a drink the night before. Fasting insulin is a test that, it shows it should be nice and low. If you fasted, your insulin should not be very present in your system. But that tells, if it's high, that tells you have some markers for diabetes. But diabetes leads to complications like heart disease, fatty liver, kidney failure, blindness, neuropathy, and so many more things. We usually don't have, so let's talk about the kidneys a little bit, because they are a much maligned organ and we don't really give them much love. Your kidneys have to filter all your blood, and we don't know that our kidneys are taxed just by the way we feel, because there aren't really a lot of indicators there that, hey, I don't think my kidneys are doing very well, unless of course you have a kidney stone or something, then I think you know. But just in everyday, so not realizing that your kidneys are taxed, and the way that's tested is your BUN and the creatinine. If those are high, then your kidneys are on the way to being toxic. So make sure you have those numbers as well. Pay attention to those numbers whenever you get them back from your blood work. BUN, and creatinine. So there are lots of herbs that are really good for the kidneys, and the great thing is what's good for the kidneys is good for the liver. And the liver is one of our most important organs because it does like 13,000 chemical processes every day. But some herbs and things that are good for kidneys: beetroot, milk thistle, ginger, marshmallow root, parsley. A lot of those are bitter herbs, and we've talked about that. And
when you say beetroot, you just mean the bulbs of the
beets, yes, right. And sometimes if you get them dehydrated, like we have them at the store, or in capsule form, those can be a little stronger. Sometimes it's hard to eat enough beets. Oh no, that's sad. Those darn deer. All right, yes, so all good things to have. Those bitter herbs are so important because they keep bile flowing, and bile is what takes our liver toxins out of our body, and it helps us digest our food and all of those things. So bitter. Those Jewish people knew what they were doing at the Passover, didn't they? Those bitter herbs. That's what they, well, God knew that. Imagine that, God knew. All right. Misconception number 3, you have to eat differently than everyone else. Well, the thing of it is, everyone should eat like they have diabetes, because that's the healthier way to eat. And one thing too, this is the 3rd week in a row that I've talked about this, is hydration and our hydration equation. We didn't mention last week or the week before that we talked about, your body weight in half, that's how many ounces of water you need every day. If you have coffee or other diuretic things that pull moisture out, then you need to add 8 more ounces on top of that. So the coffee that you drink, add another 8 ounce. And the black tea that you drink with caffeine, add another 8 ounce. So, and remember that beautiful food pyramid that we talked about last week, and all those wonderful things. Like, that's the way everyone should be eating. So I don't think we really need to say much more about that. All right, and number 4, type 2 diagnosis means that you will have to be on insulin right away. And usually not, at least now. I think first they usually go to something like metformin, and then go up from there when that's not working enough. But please remember, if you're pre-diabetic, if you're getting towards diabetes, this is completely reversible with a healthy eating plan, regular physical activity, and specific supplementation. There are great supplements for helping to reverse diabetes. So catching it early is the absolute key to reversal. I had a customer who came into the store in February, and she was so defeated. And she was like, they're gonna put me on metformin. And I asked for just a little bit of time before we do that. And I said, great, here's this supplement, watch what you eat. You have to change that. There's no other way around it. And then go from there. She had 6 months. in July, she came back in, she gave me a huge hug and said, I lost 20 pounds and my blood sugar and all my numbers are great and the doctor isn't trying to bully me into medication anymore. And I'm like, oh, look, it worked, yes. So we're never surprised, but we're always very happy when we hear those success stories and that people really made the commitment, because that's what it takes. It absolutely does take the commitment to do what's right for you. So I always love getting hugs from my customers. That's so much fun. Number 5, only older people get type 2 diabetes. And now there are children as young as 5 who are getting diabetes. Why? Anyone venture a guess? Donna?
So they don't have the activity, they're not physically active.
Yep, what are they doing?
Sitting around.
Video games, yep. It's
They get to eat
that.
what they want.
And what are they eating? Chicken nuggets, French fries, yep. And video games, lack of physical activity, and I mean, any of those things in and of themselves are not bad. You can indulge once in a while, but for too many people, it is an absolute way of life. Right. And diabetes is from eating too much sugar. I mean, yeah, that's part of it, but sugar is certainly a factor, but the cause is found right here in the gut. And Hippocrates knew it back in ancient Greece, and Alessia Fasano won the Nobel Prize a couple years ago for writing a paper that says, all disease begins in the gut. And I'm like, gee, we knew that a long time ago, but that's good. It's good that you wrote that. What causes gut dysbiosis? That's a big one. Gut dysbiosis. And it just means an imbalance of bad bacteria to good bacteria in your gut. And it's our diets, our environment, our toxic cleaning products, our skincare products that are toxic, high fructose corn syrup that's in every pop and drink and so many different foods because it's more stable than sugar and it gives a longer shelf life. Did you want to say something? Oh, I thought you had your hand up, sorry. So this gut dysbiosis allows the bad bacteria to get a foothold in the gut, and then it creates leakage, and then the insulin can't do its job, and the ball just rolls from there with a leaky gut and a fatty liver, because if you have diabetes, you've got a fatty liver. And most people have some stage of fatty liver just because of our diets that we eat and the running that we do. But this is really a neat thing. The liver is the only organ that can regenerate itself. And you can like cut half that liver off and it can regrow. So that is the coolest thing. So giving your liver appropriate supplementation and a healthy diet, that's phenomenal, because then you are giving yourself a better chance at health. Okay, so now we've been through some of the truth and some of the lies, and now we're going to talk about care. And that's just me trying to be clever. Doesn't usually work, but I try every once in a while. All right, so our ABCs are acceptance, belief, and commitment to change. A lot of times it's easy for us to beat ourselves up. We are, oh my gosh, look at me, I can't believe how I've gotten this far, and my numbers are a mess. So we just think, I'm not even gonna try. But then we start beating ourselves up, and just like, oh, you're just, why bother? You're not even worth it. But accept the fact, hey, I have this, and I can change it. I can do something about it right now. I can make a good choice today, and I can make a good choice later on, and then tomorrow I can make good choices again. That's all it takes. That is it. Just one choice at a time. So please make those choices, because every day they're so important. And then if you make a bad choice, it's okay. Just make a better choice the next time. So don't beat yourself up, because that is not productive. So accept it and move on in a healthier way. Believe that each choice you make and every step that you take is going to bring you closer to your ultimate goal. And what is that goal? Better health. Always keep your eye on what your end goal is, because that is where you need to get. Down there, okay, that's the way I'm going. I'm not gonna go off over here or over there. I'm gonna go right there. So, and then commit to the change. And really, it's a beautiful way of life. Eating whole organic food, and I love to eat, and I think eating is an adventure. So I love going into the grocery store or the farmer's market and buying things that I've never ever tried before. I was like, we're gonna do this, and that's gonna be fun because it's a new flavor profile. It's so much fun to do. So do that. Pick up something that you've never had before. Has anyone ever tried jicama?
My favorite.
I love it so much.
It's kind of like a raw potato.
Yeah, but a little bit sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
What is it?
it's jicama. It's Jicama, and it's so delicious. And that is full of probiotic or prebiotic fiber. So it's food for your good bacteria in your gut. Makes a fantastic salad. You can eat it raw. You can eat it cooked. I think raw is the better way to do it, but you can cook it too.
Is it a tuber?
It's a root,
Okay.
but it's round and flat. Yeah. Google it. It's kind of cool looking. I should have put a picture of it up here. All right, so I leave you with this thing. Oh, well, let me say this. You have a wonderful place here, Brady's Run Park. It is an absolutely beautiful place, and that is one of the best places for something called, are you ready for this? Forest bathing. Yes, and you keep all your clothes on. So no worries there. But being out in the woods among the trees, you are getting healthy bacteria, and you are getting compounds from the trees. And it's not, I'm not like this new agey, like I'm a tree hugger, but you know. But it's so important to spend time in nature and get that physical exercise, and there's a free place to do it right down the road. So don't miss that opportunity. And I want to see if this popped into my head, so I'm like, I'm saying this. Do or do not, there is no try. Does anybody know what that's from? Yes, who said it? Yeah, no, who said that, Cindy?
That was Yoda.
Yes! Yoda said it to Luke Skywalker. That's right. Do or do not, there is no try. Okay, I had to do that. All right, so use your numbers. Metrics like waist-hip ratio and blood sugar measurements help you to journey to a healthier you. And you log your numbers, you write them down so that you have proof of where you were and then how far you've come. And that will help you to see your progress. And that's a wonderful way to go. So, yeah, now we're gonna get into the, ow. Okay, so your waist-hip ratio, it compares your waist size to your hip size. So it gives you a more complete picture of where you are of abdominal obesity than your BMI, because that is a total weight and body mass. So you want to know what's going on right here, because this visceral fat, the fat that is under the muscle, close to the organs, that's the dangerous fat. So your waist to hip ratio is the number that you want to watch. Okay. So the equation is you measure your waist at its thinnest part, and then you measure your hips at their widest part. And then you divide your waist size by your hip size to get your ratio. So I sent this presentation to Kelly earlier in the week, so that she could look at it. And I don't hear anything from her. And then all of a sudden, I get a text. And she goes, my ratio is 0.85. And what does that say? You guys know Kelly? Kelly is abdominally obese. And then I texted her back and I said, mine too. So, full disclosure, Kelly Miller and I are abdominally obese. However, we are both exercising to make sure that that number comes down. And we're working on it. So, this is another ouch. But is it like, oh, there's nothing I can do about it? I'm like, oh no. No. So then it makes you work harder and work smarter, because it's not like you have to kill yourself. I don't kill myself with exercise, but I do exercise 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week, and I love it. And then besides that, I get in my walks and just to get outside in the sun and get some vitamin D and all those things. So these numbers can become your best friend, because it helps you to objectively see where you are and then make the adjustments that are appropriate for you. And guys, we don't have many of you here, but 0.90 or higher is considered, because your hips just aren't there. So it's a little different from you. So. All right, so fasting blood sugar ranges, what should they be? So 70 to 90 is optimal. So the lower your fasting blood sugar, really, the better. And that's on a regular basis. 90 to 99 may be a beginning indication of some insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. And then 100 to 125 is absolutely pre-diabetic. 80 million Americans have this and they do not realize. So, but if you're pre-diabetic, there's so much that you can do to make sure you don't get all the way and that you reverse it completely. All right, so now what do we do to make this work for us? And this whole series has been about you taking ownership for your health. You have the power, it's in your hands. You have God-given power to make changes in your life. And every step that you make is a step in the right direction. So keep a log of your health metrics, your weight, your waist ratio, your blood sugar, all of those. Write them down, because that is a great way to see your progress. And we love progress, right? We need that for us. So we need to have that encouragement. Watch for hidden sugars. Read every label, or better yet, don't eat foods with labels. Whole, organic, fresh food. It's so much easier than what you think it is. For our next series, we should do like cooking classes here. That would be fun, right? We'll just cook yummy, fresh things together. We'll have to see about that. I don't know. Increase your fiber, because that helps to modulate your blood sugar, and it's food for the good bacteria in your gut. And so that's a hugely important thing. Make sure you get enough fiber. 30 to 35 grams of fiber a day is what's really optimal. And most of us maybe get like 15, 20 max. So that is something that you need to up in your game there. So, and work on healing your gut and keeping it healthy. Many other factors then will fall into place, because that is the foundation of our body. There's a gut-brain connection, there's a gut-heart connection, and all three of those things are always connected. And they're connected via our vagus nerve, right? And our vagus nerve is what helps us get into our two sides of the nervous system. We'll get into that in a second. And then there are specific supplements that are wonderful at helping to lower blood sugar, A1C levels. Some of those are berberine, which is a bitter, Hintonia latiflora, which is, I believe, a Central American herb that helps lower your A1C levels. Chromium helps control blood sugar. Cinnamon and alpha lipoic acid, which is good for so many things and is excellent to help regenerate your liver and keep your kidneys cleaned out. So those are some excellent supplements that are very helpful for this issue. Fun facts to know and tell. All right. For every pound of fat that you have on your body, you have 2 to 3 miles of blood vessels. That's right. 2 to 3 miles for every pound of excess fat that you have. So that's all the much harder your heart has to work to get through. So you lose the fat, you lose those blood vessels because it all shrinks back to where it should be. So that is something to keep in mind when you're making those bad food choices to help you make the good food choices. Alzheimer's is known as type 3 diabetes because having type 2 diabetes is a huge risk factor for this neurologic degenerative condition. So if you are pre-diabetic now, your risk for developing Alzheimer's in your old age is compounded exponentially. Medical costs for diabetes reach $327 billion annually. And uncontrolled stress raises blood sugar levels by increasing cortisol and making insulin less effective. Cortisol and insulin kind of work opposite one another. So when there is too much of one, there can't be enough of the other. So if you are so stressed all the time, then your pancreas will not make enough insulin to get it into your body and to get it into your cells. So, all right. The 2 phases of your nervous system. Does anybody remember what those are? What are they called? Anybody? Perfect. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Absolutely. And which one are we supposed to be in most of the time?
I'm locked into the one that's wrong most of the time.
Ed's locked into the wrong one most of the time. Which one is that, Ed?
I'm not sure.
All right. Your parasympathetic is where you want to be. So what were some of the ways we talked about moving from one to the other? Anybody remember? That was in week 1. That was 2 weeks ago. Can't remember what happened this morning, let alone 2 weeks ago. So there was our box breathing. So let's all get up. Stand up. All right. So now we're going to breathe in for 4 counts and make sure that you're breathing from your belly. Your belly gets big when you breathe in. And then we're going to hold it for 4 counts. And then we're going to breathe out for 8 counts. Okay? Ready? And I'll hold my fingers up so that we can, because I want to do it too. I need this. Ready? Okay, make sure that you keep blowing out twice as long. And as you blow out, then your belly comes in and everything gets tight in your core. So let's do that one more time. Ready? Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you don't have enough breath, then you're breathing out too quickly. So slow your breathing out down. So, okay, you can sit back down. Doing that before you eat will help you move into your rest, digest, and heal mode, which is your parasympathetic, rather than staying in your sympathetic and don't eat in the car. I know it's hard, but don't go to the drive-thru and don't eat in the car. Or if you're gonna eat in the car, just let it be like kind bar or something. All right, so, and there were also some stress and anxiety hacks that we shared in the first session to help us with that as well. All right, and now, this is our last slide. These things over here are the doctor's first go, right? The metformin, the insulin, and testing your blood sugar. That's a great piece of equipment to have, because then you can keep track of that yourself. But look at oh wow, what did I do there? Surprise! Okay, the average American eats 152 pounds of sugar every year. So think of those 5-pound bags of sugar, right? Even if you just have a 1-pound bag of sugar, that 1 pound, yeah, 30 of them. 30. That's mind-blowing. And that's what we have to stop. The sugar is hidden everywhere. Read every label. If you don't get anything else, remember you're parasympathetic and read every label. End of story. But that concludes our teaching for this evening. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, or you can catch me afterwards, whatever you'd like to do. Cindy.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first question is, when we're getting our blood work results, and what should those numbers be for, like A1C numbers?
Good question. Okay, so A1C should be under 5. If it's over 5, then you are kind of heading towards some issues. So A1C is always under 5. And what A1C is it's a 3-month glance at what your blood sugar is over time. So blood sugar is just like one quick snapshot. That was that day, because that's always up and down and that changes for us. But A1C is looking at that blood sugar over like a 3-month period. So that's what that's measuring, and that needs to be under 5.
I try to get an fasting insulin test done over at my doctor's office. And he had told me, not at this last physical, but the one previous to that, that with the weight, he knows I'm insulin resistant. So I cut out glucose altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And got a handle on that, dropped 16 pounds. And I told him I come in and I know I still got visceral fat. So I told him I wanted to get a fasting insulin test done. He told me that this time around your blood sugars are too good. I can't
I know.
get you an fasting insulin test.
Yeah.
But now I found out, I don't have them in my head, but there's places that you can go to and pay, well, like one place offers a discount on testing through Life Extension Foundation,
Yes.
that you can get your own testing done. But now there's a guy online that is proving all over the place that high numbers of cholesterol and stuff does not matter all that much.
Right.
And he's pulled it together with some testing companies to get massive amounts of tests done, whatever you want done, at much lower
That's
lower
wonderful.
costs.
That's wonderful,
So
yeah.
there's alternatives to that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, and we often
You
have to
wanna know
take,
that number.
right, we often have to take those alternatives, because a lot of times our doctors will not order the things that we would ask them to, because their hands are tied by insurance companies, and that's very, very hard. You can seek those testing numbers from other companies, just like Cindy, you were saying with, Dr. Osborne and everything. That's excellent. Don't give up until you get your numbers, because that is so valuable for you. And Cindy, so blood sugar is like 70 to 90, like we said. Fasting insulin should be like around maybe like 0.2. So yeah, that's where it needs to be.
For anybody who's, if you've fallen in a pre-diabetic category, if you have diabetes in your family, talk to your doctor.
they can get you testing equipment through your insurance.
Yes,
My
that's a
doctor
good point,
actually-
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, there's still some there's family history, there's all that,
Mm-hmm,
but it makes it a much more reasonable cost to keep track.
yes, that is a really good point. Yep, getting the, you utilize your doctor for whatever you can, get, testing equipment, through your insurance if at all possible. That's wonderful. Any other questions? Yes, Cindy.
What about, adult onset type 1 diabetes?
Yeah, that is more of an autoimmune issue. So that is definitely a leaky gut, and possibly by healing the gut and healing the liver, that can be much more under control. Oh my gosh.
Happy birthday.
Oh, you bunch of weirdos.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jen. Happy birthday to you.
Who let the cat out of the bag?
This was all Kelly. She wasn't here, but this is all Kelly. I didn't plan very well for my walk up here.
Oh,
There's
thank
another
you.
one, and
That's
these are
very
all-
sweet.
Well, there's a list. This is all made by someone.
I can't hear you.
This is all, I had the list in there. Coconut sugar, and it's all natural. All of it is natural.
I'm
There's
sure
two
it's
of them.
probably gluten-free and dairy-free.
Yes, all of, yeah.
The
Yes.
diabetes friendly?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. There's two
How
of them,
kind.
so we all have to try them.
Oh, that's wonderful. How sweet. Thank you, Kim. That's so sweet. I thought I saw like something out of the corner of my eyes. Yes, today is my birthday, so I get to spend it with all of you, and that's a treat. So that's
even worked.
wonderful. So I did, yes, I did. It was a day. But I got to have breakfast with my daughter this morning, so that was really fun. We went to Waffles and Caffeinated, which is, no, don't do that. I'm sitting there, I haven't had a waffle in like 3 years. I'm sitting there looking at this waffle like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this?
I have that same story from today. I got up and my daughter was eating blueberry waffles. I used to love those with all kind of butter on them. Yeah.
The butter's not the bad part, it's
No, the butter's not
the
the bad
gluten and the
part.
carbs in the waffle.
My guts didn't like that at all.
I imagine, yes, I imagine. All right, did we address your question?
Well, yeah, I know it's an autoimmune disease, but
Right.
what advice would you give somebody that is there?
Heal the gut, clean out the liver, make sure the kidneys are healthy. And you do that with, like, we have this wonderful product. It's called Leaky Gut Repair, and Rich has been on it for like 2 years now, and it's just done wonders. Because you have to heal the gut before you clean out the liver and the kidneys. Because if you are trying to clean out the liver before your gut lining is healthy, then you are going to get a lot of recycled toxins, which get increasingly worse as they move through the body. So you have to go through the steps of the protocol, and you heal the gut, make sure the lining is healthy, and then you begin detoxifying the liver and helping it to regenerate in a healthy way. And then as you're doing that, then the kidneys get like kind of detoxified as well. When someone has a lot of skin issues, psoriasis and eczema and all those things, that's liver toxicity and kidney toxicity, and the body can't handle all the toxins, and they're trying to get out. So they're trying to come out through the skin, and that's how it happens sometimes. So all of these issues are connected, and it's hard to sometimes see which road to take because it can be a squiggly one sometimes, but to get down to a root issue is what natural health is really about. Sometimes you need the symptomatic help of the allopathic medicine, your Western medicine doctor. Sometimes you need that symptomatic help. And then while you are getting that short-term symptomatic help, you start dealing with root issues and root causes to get your body healthy so you don't need that symptomatic help anymore. So, anybody else?
Since I have, as you know, gut issues, I started taking, and I give up on, I forget it, start again, forget it, start again. MSM, after reading a naturopath's information on MSM, I started taking MSM. I just ordered some more of it, another pound of it, to start taking real regularly.
As a powder?
In a powder.
Okay.
It's bitter as all get out.
Mhm.
Oh, but I mix it in with a smoothie and it's just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But just as importantly, I just discovered, again, B1
Okay.
and how it's absolutely necessary. It's necessary to stimulate your stomach to make the hydrochloric acid,
Mm.
and it's necessary for stimulating your pancreas to make the pancreatin, the lipase, all the
Right.
enzymes. It's also necessary for the gut motility, and it's,
Right.
but getting rid of all the toxicity is
Difficult
still the
thing.
number one consideration.
Absolutely.
And the best way to get rid of it is,
Oh, you're asking me? Milk thistle, berberine,
Not putting it
alpha
in there.
lipoic acid.
and to quit putting it in,
I'm sorry, I don't,
and to quit putting it in there.
yeah.
That's, we'll heal
Mm-hmm.
if we quit hurting it.
Right.
That's,
Yeah, absolutely. We have to make it. I had this one woman in the store screaming at me in the aisle that she was not giving up her chocolate cupcakes. And she had the canister of leaky gut powder in her hand, and she's literally screaming at me. And I took the canister and I said, then this won't help you.
you know,
And she goes, well, at least you're honest. And then she turned around and walked out the door. It's like,
all
well,
right,
you're not for you. You have to make the
Good.
commitment to change.
good.
And, you know, it's up to you. Knowledge is power. So, well, thank you for the birthday wishes and the lovely song. Let's go have some cake. And if anyone has any other questions and wants to catch up with me, please feel free. Thank you so much.
Okay, great.